Right, hello and welcome to Accountants Are Sexy, Change My Mind, the podcast that's going to revolutionise accountants. Today I have with me Kellie Chetwynd from the High Street Accountants. I'm really pleased that you've joined me, Kelly. You're the director of the practice, I believe.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Just give me a quick intro. Who are you? What is the High Street Accountants all about?
Okay, so I'm Kelly, director at the High Street Accountant, as you said. We've been a practice for about 7 years now. Recently rebranded to the High Street Accountant from our old name. And so we're a small high street practice, like it says in the name. We have a shop front on a high street in the local town, and sort of servicing bookkeeping, VAT, payroll, all the compliance services, year-end accounts for local small businesses. And I like to think we're a modern practice, approachable, personable, have an open door policy is what we like to call it, really. We're an all-female team, and there's 6 of us at present. So we've got 2 accountants, myself and Zoe. We've got a trainee accountant, Meg, and we have a full-time payroll and bookkeeper, Emma. And we also have Megan, who is marketing, client liaison, business development. That's a fairly new role that she's undertaken. And the most recent employee, which makes 6, is Libby, and she's a business admin apprentice, and she's just started this week. So and that's us, really. So
Growing. That's lovely to hear.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
Lovely to hear, especially at this side of the pandemic, when accountants were supposed to be stable through the pandemic, but they were anything but stable. There was so much change that it really affects different practices in different ways. So to hear stories of stability and growth is great.
Yeah, I think that sometimes being a smaller business is helpful because we were quite flexible. We were able to sort of pivot and change at the beginning of the pandemic to accommodate home working and changing client needs, and listened to what the clients have had to say and tried to respond to that. So I think that's been part of the positive side for us.
It sounds like when you said we think of ourselves as a modern practice, I assume that those kind of the ability to work from home was already there. The technologies that you use, the mindset, the kind of everything that people were struggling with was probably in place. Is that right?
Yeah. So we had already moved to online bookkeeping software, for example, for people to be able to either come in and see us in person if that's what they like to do up to that point until we couldn't, but also to receive information electronically, liaise online or via video call or Teams or things like that. And we used WhatsApp to have morning meetings and then get on with our day while we were in lockdown, things like that. So we were able to
2021 and or 2020, and we're living in the modern age now.
Those kinds of things helped us be we used Facebook and Instagram to communicate with clients and all things like that. So just to try and keep up the communication and information, because there were a lot of downsides, changes, information changing overnight to try and cope with. So being able to do that helped us to cope a little bit better in that scenario. So
you said that you've gone through a rebrand. What was the other brand called?
We were ALP Accounting, which was based around the name of a business partner that I was previously in the firm with, but they left a few years ago, and so we wanted to change the name. But having been going for 7 years, and things have changed a lot in 7 years, so I think even if that hadn't been the case, we would have probably wanted to have revamp and modernise. And there's a lot of changes in the accountancy profession at the moment. I think we've kind of briefly touched on that before. So I kind of wanted to make sure we look like we're ready to embrace those changes and or, are as up to date as we, and the new branding supports that basically.
Yeah, so. I've looked at your branding. It's simple but lovely. And I think, and the fact that it's over your shop front and you've got the white windows and the white branding, I think it looks so sleek and modern. I would want to go in there. As a passerby, you think, oh yeah, I'd like to go in there. And that's the benefit you have of being on the high street and being called the high street accountant. You don't have to, and forgive me, and not forgive me, but correct me if I'm wrong. Do you get a lot of passers-by coming in, or are you still digital marketing focused?
No, we do have both. Previously to the pandemic, most of our work came from either referral, so it's been built that way, or people seeing the shop and feeling like they were able to pop in and ask the question, which has led to us doing business. So we have had walk-ins quite regularly. Now, since the rebrand and the changes we've made, we have had, I found you on Google, because search for a local accountant and the name helps us come up that way. But I do think it helps people understand what we're doing straight away, and it is approachable, that it's high street. It's not some office in a city centre that you can't knock on and ask a question to, or get to speak to somebody. So people seem to like that still as well.
I guess it helps communicate your values as well, like no other practice I've seen before, actually, because you're asking for, or you're showing that you're there, right, like on the high street, and that you're so accessible, and that has to follow through in your values, because if it doesn't, there's a massive misalignment. So what are your other values? What do you like to bring into your brand?
Well, I like to think that we're very customer focused. That would be predominantly the thing that I would want people to know about us. So examples of that are, try to have a chat with clients at the start and understand where they are in their business, what it is they're looking to achieve, and then how we might help systems or numbers support that. So I don't know, sometimes people say, well, I wanted to go into online bookkeeping, but my accountant will only work with a spreadsheet. So we've tried to find someone who supports online bookkeeping software. Or I just want to put my receipts in a shoebox and hand them to somebody and it gets sorted out, but my accountant says I've got to fill in a spreadsheet that I don't know how to work with, or just things like that we've come across. So we'll try and listen, understand what the client is and where they're at, and then try and support with that. If they want to do their own bookkeeping, that's fine. We can check it as regularly as you want, or so we offer free telephone and email support once somebody's on a package kind of thing. And I think that helps the customer understand, ask us questions. We're here to help you make your business better,
and they're not frightened then of picking up the phone to you. And because I think this is once again, I've been involved with the accounting industry over the past 7 years as well, and the culture has changed dramatically. But if you go back to 7 years and like further, people were afraid to pick up the phone to the accountant, just in case there's another bill on the way, or it wasn't explained properly, or they just, they didn't want to seem dumb, maybe.
People say that all the time. Oh, thank goodness it doesn't feel like going to the headmaster's office coming in here, or you haven't made me feel stupid when I've had to ask the same question 3 times. Because some concepts and principles, they are difficult to understand, but it's better for business owners if they can understand what it is and what the implications are for their business of any questions they've got. So that is the main thing that I would want people to understand about who we are, really, is the customer focus and accessibility of support.
Tell me then, we've kind of touched on this already. What are the other misconceptions that are banded around about accountants?
I think probably the biggest ones, that accountants are boring, or if I dare say, older and male. I have had somebody say to me, oh, I didn't realize you were the accountant, I thought you were their assistant.
Oh, wow.
Said, oh no, it's me, and it was fine. So I think they are judgments maybe, or misconceptions about what an accountant might look like, and age seems to be a particular one, and I think the personality of boring seems to be the other one, but we're certainly not that in our office. So
and the industry has changed vastly, and I'm finding that there are so many more younger people coming through, and because it's more attractive these days to be an accountant, Why do you think it's more attractive these days? What's changed?
I think with social media, I follow other accountants that are similar to myself, younger female, and then younger, because I'm not really that young, but younger people than me that are considering entering the business. If they see somebody who's younger, fashionable, I mean, some of the female leaders in business that are putting things out on social media, so they're getting to see that, so there's visibility of the role models, I think, maybe that there wouldn't have been before. I mean, even 7 years ago, not very many accountants that I knew in the area when we started the business had Facebook.
Yeah.
We picked up a lot of business by saying, hi, this is us on Facebook, and still now.
That was the heyday of Facebook. It's gone downhill since then.
It is, but still now we do post things on Facebook, mainly personal things, like if somebody's done something and we're like, oh, you know, shout out to Emma who'd recently done a big running event, put that on, and people like to see that personal side of you, so it can be used in the right way, but that means that younger people can go see that and be like, okay, it's okay if I look like this or I'm this age, and you know, I could still do that. So
I definitely think it's opened up, it's more accessible to everyone.
I
think it's more appealing because it's a faster paced industry now. It's not, like you said, it's not fuddy-duddy. It's not sitting in the back office just crunching numbers all the time, although you know, there is routine to it because you have to get the clients done. I think, and I think you do, but do you think your staff really understand what value they add to the customer?
I hope so. I hope they do. Yeah, I mean, we all work in the same office. So when I'm talking on the phone or bringing up figures on the screen and talking to clients, the other two accountants, they're there in the room where I am. So the way that I operate the business is easily transferred to them without so much effort, because they'll hear how I've spoken to the client or what I've tried to do to help them understand, or how I've explained things. So and also we try to, it probably sounds a bit cheesy, but celebrate the successes. So if something's happened or a project that we've been a part of has resulted in a success or a change or a grant for a client, or you know, or changing winning business for a client, we will make sure that's brought up, and
that's brilliant,
so that they know. And my team is younger, so I'm sure they wouldn't mind me saying their ages. Zoe is 30 and Meg is 19, so they are younger in the industry as well, and so I found it's helpful to be able to do that.
Yeah, definitely. It's not talked about as often as it should be, actually. You really hit a chord with me. I think that many accountants that I've worked with don't celebrate their successes. They don't necessarily see their clients' successes as their own successes. They see it as a process. So, but at the end of the process, once you've done something, saved them money, found a grant for them, you know, supported them, removed their headache, actually that's really valuable stuff and needs to be celebrated.
Yeah, I think that's true. And sometimes you can get so busy with the day that you have to stop and do that to know why you're still here and where it is you're going with this, you know. And I think I see a sense of pride in the work more if we've been able to say, you know, when you did that for that client, look what they've been able to do off the back of that. Even if we don't always communicate it with the client as effectively, because sometimes you don't, even just internally with us, we know that we've achieved that. Obviously we tried to make the client know as well, because it's going to help with loyalty, etc., etc. But even if we just know, gosh, look what they've been able to do off the back of us implementing this system, or being able to show them those costs or that project, or whatever
it's
it is.
The results of the input, isn't it? It's and that kind of completes the circle then. Whereas if you're just stuck in the drudgery of a day-to-day, and I suppose this is why people are upset with where they work, they've just got their head down and they're doing it, but you don't see the successes and there's no feel-good factor. And I think it's a really valid point. So with regards to your business, like, do you have, and especially when you did the rebrand, did you have any particular niche in mind? suppose it's difficult being on the high street to niche and such.
Yeah, no, I no, and honestly, when we first started, anyone that came on the door and asked for help, we onboarded, as you do when you start in business. So no, we don't have a niche, and we didn't have a particular client in mind, other than it's local, and you know, to some extent, although with technology it doesn't matter if they're further away, and also invested. My preferred client isn't a business type, it's more valuing or invested in wanting to know their numbers. Not everybody does. Some people just want zero tax. Please do my tax return at zero tax. Well, I do my best, but people who know that if they get the numbers on up to date, there is value in what they can derive from that other than a tax bill, you know. So that's what I have in mind as well, a lot.
So do you have any kind of qualifying parameters, say turnover or staff or premises or anything like that helps you, or nothing at all?
No, nothing like that. I'm more just on board people that I feel are a good fit, person to person, rather than business type. So yeah, mainly people who are going to value what we've got to offer now. That would be more my decision making factor. Now that we're more established, now that we are growing, you know, now that we've got a reputation for being supportive and helping, I will take on clients who are going to value that, because that helps reinforce the business again, and then they're the right people that will recommend us and advocate for us going forward as well then.
Yeah, definitely. So what's your what's the goal for the practice? What do you want to do?
I would like to get a second high street location in the future. I think we're probably a couple of years off that, but that's what I'd like to see, a high street accountant take to.
On every high street.
or that. But balancing home and work is quite important to me. So I'm not always looking for aggressive growth, but I would like to see if we could do what we've done on the high street in the town where we are in another one. That would be amazing for me.
A grand plan to me.
Yeah.
So when you're thinking about achieving those kind of goals, are you focused on using, like, putting particular systems in place? Do you use a particular tech stack, so to speak? What's the tech stack like?
So we have obviously Microsoft 365 for email, Teams, and so emails are accessible without an online server, so that's fine. We have QuickBooks and Xero bookkeeping software online across the board, apart from for the very smallest operations who we still might use a spreadsheet for. That's going to be changing in the next 18 months anyway, so we have that. And then I have online tax calc for tax returns and accounts production, so that can be done from anywhere. And then we're using Accountancy Manager for CRM tasks and scheduling. That's fairly new to the practice, but again, because that's an online platform, we could work collaboratively from home, another office, or our office. So that's predominantly. Also with QuickBooks, we've got the scan snap. So but we're not exclusively doing that, because some people just want to put their receipts in a little folder and bring it in, and we'll use a scanner in the office or whatever, you know.
Well, this was kind of where I was going to lead on to, really. How flexible are you with your level of service? Now, there are other accounting firms who are very process driven, and they don't want to go outside of that, and they really do refine their ideal client to make sure the systems and the ideal client are aligned, and that's the only people they deal with. And then it speeds up the process, I guess. It increases productivity, profitability. But you don't sound like that's something you're aiming for. It seems more friendly.
No, if somebody says I want the QuickBooks but I'll put my own data on, then we'll share the QuickBooks file and check it. Or I will generally go with how the client wants to work. I feel that that's in their best interest. Sometimes you have to say to people, that's not going to work, and I suggest you might do this. But no, I'm not overly precious about having it completely fixed. I try to be a bit flexible if you want, and it has been successful. Sometimes it gives you headaches, and sometimes something that you think is going to be simple isn't, or you know, but that's business, and I try and live and learn and review what we've done, and then
and I guess it's being able to meet them where they are and support them to do better.
Yes, that's it.
And you're not going to get the finished article, like kind of like boyfriends, really. You're not going to get the finished article at the very beginning. You have to work on that together.
Yeah, that is how we like to think of it, as a working relationship, if you like. So I find that it works best, you build trust, so then they do value your opinion. So if you do say, right, you perhaps ought to be doing this or that now, it will improve it, it will make it more efficient, then they will listen. It wouldn't be in my nature and personality type to force or say, I only work this way, so you will do this. I don't think I'd be able to pull that off. And you have to be what you are, don't you? You know.
I really struggle with that as well. I like to help people, and you can't help all the people if you only have one way of working. So I try and be as adapt as possible, like as much as possible.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite bit of the job, is thinking that I've helped somebody in their business. You know, we've got paid to do that as well. You know, that's probably the bit that I like the most about the job.
So talk to me about your marketing journey. I mean, obviously there's Megan in place, and she is brilliant because she's brought you to my attention. And she's definitely championing your brand, but that's quite a recent role for her.
Yes. Yeah.
So what's your marketing been like? What's the journey you've been on over the past 7 years?
So basically we touched earlier on having a Facebook page, and generally speaking, we had word of mouth referrals for probably 4 or 5 years, and a bit of free Facebook marketing. We've always had a website. We don't generally drive traffic through that or have people, and that seems to have gone a bit off the boil, I find. Website, that used to be the thing as well, didn't it? You got to have a website and drive traffic through the website, but I'm not sure about that.
You're not the first accountant to say that they don't value their website. I think there's two schools of thought, but I'll come back to it.
Yes, I'm not sure if I'm right or not, but that's my feeling about it. And I think you've got to have one, because you need that online presence for people to search to see if you're legitimate. You know, if they're a bit further away and they're not going to come past the shop. So and then other than rebranding and having the look in the office and for the shop that we wanted, and across the social media, and for the team, we've had some team shots done so that people can see who we are. We haven't and starting to network. I mean, in the first 5 years, I was absolutely scared to death to network and go out and meet people, you know, lacking in confidence there a little bit. And we did have enough work coming in all the time just from the word of mouth, so didn't focus on it too much. But now we've grown in confidence, we've got good systems, more well established, the team's more settled. We've turned our attention to what do we do with marketing, but I wouldn't say we've got a clear strategy or plan. We're probably at the start of our marketing journey, just working out, is it going to be networking events? Is it going to be more on social media, using LinkedIn, Facebook still possibly? And, you know, we're just trying to work out exactly. TikTok even, I think we've got a TikTok account, and Megan's going to be making some videos to share across.
So what's changed then for you to want a more firm plan for your marketing? Is it that word of mouth referrals are, like, in general, let's speak generally, because it's not just about your firm. I'm finding this a lot. They used to, and they've built their practice up from the ground on word of mouth. And now they're thinking, actually, I want to be more strategic with my marketing. Is that because word of mouth is not as effective as it used to be? Or is that a change with your own mindset and goals? Why the change?
I think that the size that we are now, and we still do get word of mouth referrals, but it's not as intensive. It isn't that we've got a lack of new clients either that's made me feel differently. I think it's that with the rebrand, I have wanted reputationally, I think, to appear a bit more slick, a bit more professional, like the look that we've created. And alongside that, if people want to look us up and search for us, that they can find information about us and things like that, or that we reach a wider audience for professional reputation and things like that. Like we've featured in magazine more recently, and I did that not necessarily expecting to get business from it, although it'd be nice, but more for reputationally and professional contacts as well. So as the practice has grown and some of the businesses that we've been working have grown, more specialist niche tax advice might be needed, and I didn't have anybody that I could go to ask for that advice or refer people onto. So part of marketing is so that I'm more confident in meeting and working with other specialist accountants and tax advisors as well. So
absolutely one of the most collaborative industries that I've worked in, for sure.
Yeah, I don't think it used to be like that, but I think that is something that is also changing and becoming much more of a regular and accepted thing. And it can only be a good thing, because the accounting industry is so wide and there's so many rules and so much out there. I can see why some accountants do niche so that they can be very expert within a field, but if you're not, and you're like us, a general practitioner, then to have a group of other professionals that can help with specific things that you can't cover can only be a good thing. Yeah, exactly. So that was another part of the changes that we've made, but it's been a bit like try that and see, but it's sometimes.
Are you having fun then? Is this, it's more about try it, let's have some fun with it, let's see what's going to happen?
Put yourself out there, put yourself out of your comfort zone a bit, see how it feels, see what reaction that gets, see what change that affects, and then decide what we'll do next. Rightly or wrongly, that's kind of where we've been.
I love it. And it depends what your, and this is when I work with any accountant, it depends on what your goals are. If you're not looking for exponential growth, then you can be playful, have a play. But if you're looking for, if you've got really hard and fast goals, then you might need to do something a bit more strategic. You know, you might need to make sure that your website is optimized and driving traffic to it. But if you're in a fortunate position where actually you've got a lovely team around you, you're looking for like not necessarily slow growth, but controlled growth over a period of time, have some fun. In fact, have some fun anyway.
Yeah, I think that's where we're at really. You know, I've got a young family, and so being able to be at home was part of the reason why I wanted to be self-employed and came out of the practice that I was working in when I was employed, was to be flexible around the family but do my job that I thought I was all right at. You know, I've got something to offer, so I always try and stay mindful about that as well.
How did you, and I normally start with this but I completely forgot, how did you get into accountancy in the first place?
Oh well, when my eldest son started playgroup, I was working part-time in a cash office in a supermarket, so not a qualified accountant, just working in a finance office. And then I was asked to become the treasurer of the playgroup account, so I did that for a year. And when I took it to the accountant, he said, "Oh, you've done quite a good job here. I've been looking for someone. Do you want to learn how to do bookkeeping?" Wow. So that was about 16 years ago, 17 years ago. And so I said, all right then, and went to work for him a few hours a week, and it grew from there. And at that time he had just a few clients and was deciding whether he was going to make a thing of it or not. And so I worked with him for 8 years, did my qualifications at night school, and really enjoyed it. But over time I wanted more different things and had different ideas to what he did. And so eventually I said, you know, I'm going to go and do it on my own. And he wasn't too happy, but after a couple of years he did get back in touch, and now we do speak regularly. So it's nice in the end. And you know, he's done his own thing and I've done my own thing, and you know, it's
Yeah,
been
it's nice to have a leg up, but you can't, if you know, if you've got the thing in you that wants to do it differently in your way, in the drive, then that has to be explored. I know that myself.
yeah, I did it, you know, he knew what I was going to do, and I kept it completely separate, and the clients stayed completely separate. So, you know, I tried to do things the right way, but I just wanted to do something different, and so that's what I did.
Well,
And
what a lovely achievement.
Yeah, we're friends now. He said he thinks I've done quite good. He knew I would. I suppose he didn't want me to leave, but
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much all we've got time for today. There is one final question that I have to ask.
Okay.
What's the sexiest thing about accounting?
I don't know about sexy, but certainly I think the most exciting thing for me is being part of lots of different businesses, and being part of their success, and seeing how, you know, well people can do. And also, you know, I find reducing tax bills, you know, it's got to be quite high on the list as well, but probably most people, if they're not an accountant, won't agree.
I don't know, if it's my tax bill, then I'm all for it.
You know, if I say sexy, but certainly the most exciting part of being an accountant for me is working with the business owners. I really enjoy that part of it. So,
well, that's lovely. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed it, Kelly.
I did. Thank you very much.
Good.